Advanced polls taking place in New Providence and Grand Bahama today. The Delta variant confirmed in country, and immigration officers stage a sick out. Good evening, everyone. I'm Lissy Bastian with your JCN News for this Thursday, September 9th. Thanks for staying with us. The capital has been buzzing all day as advanced polls kicked off this morning. Today, the nation took another step closer to the 2021 general elections. Hundreds of Bahamians stood in line seeking to make a critical decision who will be the country's next government. JCN had a team coverage at several polling stations. Our Tyler Simnett was at the Gambier School and spoke to a few of those voters.
A busy day at the Gambier Primary School polling station as members of the Killarney constituency lined up to cast their votes for one of the 5 candidates vying for a seat, including Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis. A skew of past and present politicians showed up, including former Prime Minister and former leader of the Progressive Liberal Party, Perry Christie, who renewed his call for the PLP.
Well, firstly, this is the first time since 1977 that I'm not a candidate in the general elections. I told someone that that's many elections. Voting this time, I was well aware of the fact that the country had to make a major decision. I'm so happy that history is on the side of the Progressive Liberal Party, insofar as no party has won a consecutive election since in the last 20 years, since England in 1997. And so history is on the side of the Progressive Liberal Party.
Now, voting did not go smoothly for former Prime Minister and leader of the Free National Movement, Hubert Ingraham, who expressed his extreme discontent with the advanced polling process.
Myself, my wife. I've been to 2 polling divisions so far, and my name is not there. Thank you very much.
Leader of the Progressive Liberal Party and incumbent candidate for Cat Island, Rumkey and San Salvador, Philip Davis, was also present and gave these encouraging words to potential voters.
Follow the COVID protocols. Wear your mask, sanitize your hands, and just stay safely distanced from other voters. Once you engage in that process, you'll minimize your risk of being infected by COVID. What we ask you to do is please participate. You'll find a way to do it safely.
Minister of Education Jeffrey Lloyd appeared to dip his own finger in ink, throwing words of encouragement behind the leader of his party.
Around the world do not now presently enjoy to the extent freedom and the efficiency and proficiency that we have here in the Bahamas. So this is very much a day of pride for me, and obviously I'm very proud to cast my ballot for, I think, the greatest member of Parliament for this constituency, the most Honourable Dr. Hubert Alexander Minnis, whom I expect to continue to lead this country as Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, and who I am privileged to be a part of his team to serve in whatever capacity that I may be asked to in the next administration of the Free National Movement.
For the Killarney constituency, there are a total of 5 candidates vying for a seat. For the PLP, Ronald Duncombe. For the FNM, Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis. For the Democratic National Alliance, Kendall Lewis Jr. For the Coalition of Independents, Richard Sands, and running independently is Celie Moss. For JCN News, I'm Tyler Simnett.
Now, Argerino Saunders visited several of the polling stations. He spoke with incumbent FNM candidate Denicio Diaguila and PLP candidate Wayne Monroe QC, and files this report from the C.I. Gibson High School.
Yes, the country did take one step closer to the 2021 general election set for September 16th. At the C.I. Gibson High School, voters from the Freetown, Fox Hill, and Marathon constituencies participated in the advanced poll, and we had the opportunity to ask a few of them about the voting process on a humid Thursday morning.
They let us in about 8 o'clock. We stood on the line at about 8:20, and then for polling division, first of all, I'm from Fox Hill. Polling division 1 to 6, they had some issues with counting the ballots, with poll workers not in place. Then we had from polling division 12, they had some issues where poll workers were in place, but those from Parliament were kind of late.
No, not at first because they didn't open on time, but after that, everything went smooth.
Okay. And then
Yeah.
you're not concerned about the protocols. You feel safe and everything.
Yeah, I feel safe. I feel safe. We stay our distance and sanitize and everything. Everything was fine.
Did you guys do the vaccine or that's your
No,
personal?
no, I didn't do the vaccine.
All right. Then.
I make up my mind not yet.
I took one. I have to take the next one on the 20th of this month.
There were also some members of political parties who took issue with police officers refusing to let their poll workers onto the property if they were not vaccinated. That issue was later sorted out, but not after some frustration. There were also a number of candidates at the polls assisting supporters. We spoke with the candidates from Freetown about the voting process. Here is incumbent Dionisio Diagler, PLP candidate Wayne Monroe, and in the absence of the DNA candidate, trustee Chris Wallace.
I think on the balance, it's going as well as can be expected. I mean, people sometimes think that it should move a little faster. You know, there's always that initial rush at 8 in the morning. There's a certain segment of our population like to be out early and to get things done. I tell people to come maybe a little later in the morning or early afternoon when there's probably no line. But, once you get through that initial line, it's beginning to taper off somewhat now. And I think the wait times will be very short. The most, I believe, people are waiting at 8 o'clock this morning was possibly an hour. But I think those wait times have diminished quite substantially now. And for the rest of the day, I anticipate a very smooth advance poll. Certainly a lot better than what happened in 2017 when it was incredibly chaotic.
Well, there are some hiccups. So in the polling places, they don't provide desks for the poll agents, so that makes writing kind of difficult. Hopefully that will be resolved before the general election. Because, for instance, we have 420 people from Freetown voting now, and we'll have 10 times as many in the general election. So we'll address that to the returning officer for her to address. You would have seen that there were people waiting in the hot sun, which is problematic. They'll have to provide some shade. And again, we'll address that to the returning officer. But it's heartening to see people coming out and exercising their right to vote.
Well, at first it was a chaos. They told us at one point that we can't go in unless we have a COVID, we are vaccinated. My question then was, is that law? It was changing as it goes. Then they change it to say you can go in. Then they said you need the PCR test.
There are some members of the smaller parties and independents who believe the FNM and the PLP were allowed too much leeway to do whatever they wanted and continue to campaign and influence voters even inside the gates of the polling station. They plan to make these concerns known to the proper authorities and hope that the same does not happen during the general elections. Jurino Saunders for JCN News.
Now moving on to the H.O. Nash and government high school polling stations, a number of third-party candidates have also taken issue with the voting process. We learn more from our Leah Cooper.
A big day for Bahamians today as hundreds rush into polling stations across the capital to mark their X, determining who will represent them in Parliament. Advanced polling began this morning at 8 a.m., but not without some hiccups, according to individuals on the ground. Our news team caught up with a few of the candidates vying for the Garden Hills and Fort Charlotte constituencies to get a feel of how the entire process is going. Here's the United Coalition Movement's Nelda Fox, the Bahamas Coalition of Independents Daphne Johnson, and the Bahamas Constitution Party's Ali McIntosh.
Well, today I feel like it could have been set up better. I feel I'm seeing persons passing, especially our seniors. I felt like during the election process we should have had our senior lines. We don't. We have 2 constituencies here at H.O. Nash, Garden Hills and Fort Charlotte. Everyone is on one line. Seniors, young, middle-aged. Our seniors, and the sun is now hot. And so what it is now, people are getting discouraged and turning back, and I'm trying to encourage them to continue, come sit under the tent. This should have been set up or organized much better, especially for our seniors.
As it stands right now, the Coalition of Independents, we have representation in one room, but we don't have anyone in another room. And the police is telling us, when we go there to inquire about it, that we cannot be in this area. They will call us when they're ready, and all kind of different up and down. They have us going.
I came in here, and outside I believe it's chaotic. There are too many agents of the PLP and the FNM outside. The scene is very intimidating, and so that is a concern for electoral reform, and that we must look at to change, because there should not be agents so close to the polling stations. Anybody coming in this property would be intimidated by what is happening, and I think we have to change that. That is something we have to look into, and I do believe because of the rush time, all of this has culminated to a great degree of chaos.
Independent candidate for Garden Hills, Boykin Smith, however, thought the process ran rather smoothly. Each candidate also expressed how confident they now are based on the turnout at polling stations this morning.
I think the Parliamentary Registry Department has done an exceptional job. The acting commissioner, Mr. Duncanson, his cooperation and assistance throughout the process has been very smooth as a candidate. I can see out here today, it seems to be very smooth and it's simplified because the rooms were narrowed down. There's only one election agent per room, and so it seems to be a lot more easier and safer. So I think they're doing an excellent job.
I have seen a lot of my supporters, but of course, nothing is in goal until the results come in. Persons, of course, giving me the terms, giving me ESCO, this one for country. A lot of people are ready for the change. But we have to do this together. I can deliver the message, but it's up to the people to make the choice for the...
I'm pretty confident that folks are aware that I'm still an independent candidate, and they're getting to still see the message. And the conversations that folks are coming to the table to have with me are really changing their minds and hearts, so they can see that they have a legitimate candidate who can actually do the work that he's setting out to do, more experienced than any other. But more importantly, he's going to be able to keep that checks and balances of the next government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, whether that be FNM or PLP. And I think people are looking outside of party structure and looking at the candidate first.
We have a lot of persons that fear victimization, and so they're not going to show up here in the Coalition of Independent shirts because they're afraid, you know, what may happen with their jobs and stuff. And that's a sad thing in this country, that persons cannot confidently exercise their right to vote without the fear of being victimized in this country. You know, I am just tired of the level of wickedness that the people of the Bahamas face in this country by the two governing parties that we've had in here for the last 49 years.
Polling stations close today at 6 p.m. General elections are slated for next Thursday, September 16th. Reporting for Jcn News, I'm Leah Cooper.
In news from the health front, the Ministry of Health received results from the Fiocruz lab in Brazil that confirms the presence of the highly transmissible Delta variant of COVID-19 in the Bahamas. In a statement last evening, the ministry says the new sequencing results confirm that the Delta variant is the predominant variant in the country, followed by the Alpha and Gamma variants. The National Reference Lab submitted 98 SARS-CoV-2 virus samples to the Brazilian lab for genomic sequencing. The samples were collected between May 6 and August 8, 2021 from individuals on New Providence, Grand Bahama, Abaco, Andros, Eleuthera, Exuma, and Bimini. The lab confirmed 39 cases of the Alpha variant, 41 cases of the Delta variant, and 1 case of the Gamma variant. There are 18 samples still going through the testing process. Health officials also note that the Alpha variant is more transmissible than the original COVID-19 virus, and the Delta variant is known to be more transmissible than the Alpha variant. Consequently, all major health facilities in New Providence and Grand Bahama are experiencing increased number of cases, hospital admissions, and deaths due to COVID-19. You're watching Jcn News. Stay with us.